Hello and welcome to our weekend outlook. We've had a pretty rainy start to the weekend and it's still going to continue to be pretty cloudy throughout tomorrow. But we're starting off the rainy season anyway, so I guess there's no better time than ever than right now at the first and second day of the month. So we'll jump right into our forecast for this week and the rest of this weekend. But right now over Sleeping Lady, lots of clouds. You can already see those low-lying clouds and all of that moisture that we'll continue to talk about for today. But right now our high temperature is 58. I think it peaked around 60 or 62 today. So pretty cool conditions throughout the day today. With our weather headlines and our photo from Tracy Try, we have a lot to look forward to, but we'll be recapping some of the rain that we've seen so far in South Central. But the silver lining is that sunny skies await starting as early as tomorrow, but there are isolated storms for the interior, and that comes in the form of high pressure. Now, right now, with our satellite and radar, you can already see that band of moisture over Matsu specifically. We're seeing some of those clouds and some of that rain here in Anchorage, but it started to taper out. But Matsu specifically is dealing with flood watches and flood advisories. So that means that you have all the right ingredients for a flash flood to happen, but nothing quite yet is in the works. So just means to stay aware and keep an eye out. So it is Emergency Management Awareness Month, and with that you can get to know your emergency managers and get to know what you need to do in case a flood does happen. So it's a perfect thing to know, especially for this month in August. Now, looking at our expected rainfall, we're not really seeing a whole lot in South Central for today, and not too much for tomorrow either. It's starting to taper out, like I said, but there is just a little bit of rain going on for Southeast. So for those of you in Southeast, especially in areas like Ketchikan and areas in the more southern region of Southeast, you're expected to get some rain tomorrow especially, and going into Monday. So looking ahead, there's that rain that Southeast is going to see in the form of low pressure pushing eastward, and then there's low pressure over in the Bering Sea, which is bringing some very windy conditions and rainfall to the Aleutian Islands. So if you're in those regions, and especially the Alaskan Peninsula, you're going to continue to see rainfall moving in throughout tomorrow and going into Monday as well. So the interior is continuing to see that high pressure mostly across the state, but as that low pressure moves into southeast, you're going to get some rainy conditions, lots of cloudy skies, and the Aleutians are also continuing to get rainy conditions and cloudy skies. But the interior is going to start to see those afternoon showers start to pick up, especially on Monday with all of the heating that's happening. So we still have temperatures in the high 70s, which of course leads to afternoon showers and the ground warming up and lifting that air. So I mentioned it a few times. I might sound like a broken record, but it's good to know how those kind of things happen. And with your wind gusts, it's a little bit windier out in the Aleutian Islands, which of course I'm sure those of you who live there, you're used to it. But those windy speeds are going to continue to pick up. So it's going to be winds from 20 miles per hour to 40, and of course gusts are going to feel a lot faster than that. But just be prepared for that happening, and that's also continuing in the Alaskan Peninsula. And some areas of Southeast are going to see some windy conditions, but nothing nearly as strong as what the Aleutians will see. So in the Southeast, you're going to see fairly calm winds, and then the most you'll see is probably about 10 mile per hour winds. Now looking at our current conditions throughout the state, you can see all of, Palmer, Anchorage, and Ketchikan, we're getting overcast skies, mostly cloudy. That's going to continue for Ketchikan, and tomorrow morning for South Central, we're going to continue to see those cloudy skies, but it should start to clear up by the afternoon. So you should start to see the sun peeking out just a bit after noon, which is going to be nice. And Fairbanks continuing to have those mostly sunny to partly sunny skies. Expect those afternoon storms to roll in. Don't be surprised if they happen, but those are mostly supposed to come in by Monday. So tomorrow should be a fairly nice day. So looking at our regional forecasts, Southeast, of course, having those cloudy and rainy conditions. You saw where that low pressure is starting to move into. And this is really important for areas of southern Southeast. Petersburg, Ketchikan, Sitka, you're seeing a lot of that rain starting to pick up, and a lot of times it's going to start to come in the afternoon, like in Juneau. But it's going to pick up in the afternoon, but it'll stay pretty scattered throughout the day. Now for the interior, we're going to continue to see temperatures in the 70s, so still fairly warm. and we're gonna have mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies in the interior as we progress on. And then moving into the northern slope, temperatures staying fairly warm and with clouds moving in just a bit gusty in some areas. Now, western Alaska going to continue to see those warmer temperatures with those clouds rolling in, but still mostly sunny to partly sunny conditions. Aleutians are going to get pretty cloudy and pretty windy, especially Adak and Cold Bay. That's where you're really seeing the gusty areas taking place, and that wind and rain are going to start to pick up approaching Sunday and Monday. Now here in South Central, we're seeing temperatures in the 60s with clouds starting to push out, but they're still going to linger as always. So expect some fairly cloudy conditions, but the sun is going to be out much more than it was yesterday and today. So Copper River Basin, this was one of the areas that was forecast to have the most rain, and most of that happened yesterday and this morning, but tomorrow should be much sunnier and warmer. Mat-Su is another area where the rain was really getting forecast for, especially with those flood watches and warnings. So just keep an eye out with that. Of course, with these warmer temperatures, we're going to have snow runoff as well. So that's included in our flood watch and our flood advisory. So warmer temperatures, slightly sunnier skies, and that's the same here in Anchorage as well. So looking ahead, we're going to have those clouds rolling in the morning, and then later in the afternoon, we're going to have some more sun peeking through with warmer temperatures for this week. In Fairbanks, you're seeing those cloudier skies starting to roll in tomorrow with those scattered showers, and especially Monday and Tuesday still having those showers taper off, but still fairly warm conditions. So it's going to be a pretty nice day tomorrow. We're closing out the weekend with fairly sunny skies for most of the area, but of course flood watches and advisories are still in effect for areas like Mat-Su. So if you're in those areas, just keep an eye out. Of course, you never know what's going to happen, so it's important to stay informed and to stay aware. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'm sorry that the sound was a little staticky. I'm not too sure what that was from, but I'll try to figure it out for tomorrow. But in the meantime, enjoy your Saturday, and I'll see you here again tomorrow on Sunday. And with that, I will let you enjoy this view of Anchorage with all our overcast clouds.